It's your boy BJ pulling up the right way. I'm back like I never left. Thank you guys for tuning in, hitting that thumbnail. Most importantly, thank you guys for supporting our channel. Today I'm going to be checking out a video. It's titled New York City Starting to Evict Migrants. Before we get into the video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you do not miss any videos, and I mean any videos. So y'all, let's go ahead and tap in. Let's get into it.
You won't believe what's happening to migrants in New York. This is the biggest deportation spree the city has ever seen. There's been a surge in gang-related crimes in New York City lately, and the city is finally addressing its migrant situation. However, not everything is set in stone, because there's one factor that could still disrupt this new policy, and his name is Joe Biden.
New York City is evicting 3,500 migrant families from the shelters where they are currently housed. The New York Times reports families who've been at the shelters longer than 60 days will have to reapply.
New York City is set to begin the process of evicting migrant families from city-run shelters.
Now 3 fewer homeless encampments in the city.
As the city continues to look for places to house migrants.
Shelter system has been at the breaking point for months.
Since spring 2022, New York City has set up a widespread system of emergency shelters and temporary tent communities to accommodate tens of thousands of asylum seekers who have arrived seeking assistance over the last 2 years. Currently, more than 64,600 asylum seekers are residing in emergency shelters managed by the city. These shelters include repurposed hotels and large tent-like structures designed for housing. The asylum seeker population consists of single adults, adult.
Wait a minute. So they're using hotels to house a lot of migrants. And look at this right here. This look like the inside of a shelter, but it looked like a full service restaurant. Look like the inside of a Golden Corral or a Cracker Barrel or something. Yo, like my first question is, we already know where the money is coming from. The money is coming from taxpayers to pay for this stuff, to fund this right here.
For housing. The asylum seeker population consists of single adults, adult families, and families with children. They are located throughout the city's 5 boroughs, although their distribution is not uniform. Manhattan and Queens host a larger portion of asylum seekers in shelters compared to other boroughs, with approximately 38% and 31% of all asylum seekers, respectively, as of March 3, 2024.
In his statement, Mayor Adams said, the right to shelter was never intended to apply to a population larger than most U.S. cities, descending on the 5 boroughs in less than 2 years.
In the wake of New York City's decision to evict migrants from their temporary shelters, a new crisis has emerged. A recent discovery of 2 illegal shelters, housing over 100 asylum seekers, has revealed the dark side of the city's response to the migrant crisis.
For the second time in 2 days, the NYPD has uncovered an illegal makeshift migrant shelter.
Inspectors from the Department of Buildings responded to a call on a Wednesday afternoon regarding an alleged illegal conversion at a 2-story commercial building in the Fordham neighborhood on East Kingsbridge Road. Upon arrival, they discovered that one of the stores within the building had been turned into unauthorized sleeping quarters. The inspectors uncovered a concerning scene inside. On the first floor alone, there were 34 beds, and in the basement, they found another 10 beds tightly packed together. Moreover, they came across extension cords, e-bikes, space heaters, and hot plates on both floors. Due to the hazardous conditions found inside, including severe overcrowding, lack of natural light, and ventilation issues, the DOB issued a vacate order for the building, citing life-threatening circumstances.
They should have already known that this was gonna be a product of them bringing all of these migrants, because we saw this early on when the mayor, when they approved this, when they brought all these illegal migrants to New York. My whole question was like, where are they going to put them at? Where are they going to house them at? It's too many people coming in too fast, and you don't have enough quarters, you don't have enough shelter, you don't have enough of anything to actually accommodate them. So now you start to see other people, probably somebody in the bodega. It's probably somebody in the bodega that probably like rented out the back of their bodega and put some bunk beds back there and was like, hey, we're gonna rent it out for $300 a month. If y'all want to stay here, y'all can stay here. So this was already like a product of what was already going on, that they're going to find these little makeshift places that's housing migrants. That's almost like, it's almost like duh.
Talk to some of the neighbors out here. They'll tell you this was no secret. Migrants often spotted coming and going every single day.
Officials from the city's Office of Emergency Management responded to the situation, coordinating efforts to address immediate needs and possibly referring the affected individuals to asylum seeker services if required. Later that evening, some of the migrant men who had been residing there were spotted gathering their belongings and loading them onto a bus. One of the residents mentioned that they used a nearby gym for showering, highlighting the challenges they faced in basic living conditions. Local residents were aware of the illegal shelter, with one neighbor revealing that the occupants paid monthly fees ranging from $300 to $600.
$300.
According to them, conditions in the basement were particularly dire, lacking basic amenities like toilets and bathing facilities.
How much was he charging them?
I think they said $300, some say $600.
The landlord received 2 violations, one for failing to maintain the building and another for using it in a manner inconsistent with city records. Interestingly, this landlord had previously operated a similar illegal shelter in Queens. Inspectors found that the commercial space and cellar had been converted into sleeping quarters, with 14 bunk beds and 13 beds crammed into these areas. Plumbing work had been done without permits, and there was a lack of proper exits, ventilation, and natural light for the occupants.
It was yesterday's raid in Queens. It now brings the total number of migrants to more than 100, all housed in 2 separate commercial businesses owned, investigators say, by the same man.
Abu Sar, a migrant himself who owns a furniture store, expressed empathy for the residents, most of whom hailed from his native Senegal. He recounted how he reluctantly began offering them shelter after the city restricted the duration that single migrants could stay in official shelters.
This is the situation. This is what we're trying to avoid, for them to be out there in this cold weather.
The discovery of the illegal shelter came to light after a neighbor raised concerns about e-bikes parked near her property. This prompted FDNY inspectors to look into the matter, revealing a situation that had been operating for months, unbeknownst to many in the neighborhood.
DOB issuing 2 violations to the landlord they say also operated an illegal migrant shelter at a furniture store in South Richmond Hill, Queens.
Worse still, it has...
And you can tell they in the hood somewhere. Like they in the trenches, in the hood somewhere. Somebody hitting a lick. Somebody is hitting a lick. $300 to $600. Like I said, I'm not a mathematician. I don't have no degree in mathematics, but I'm going to tell you right now, somebody is hitting a lick by setting up these quarters and then having them pay a monthly fee. You see all those beds in there? I can't even tell you. It's thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars somebody's making right now.
Illegal migrant shelter at a furniture store in South Richmond Hill, Queens.
Worse still, it has been revealed that the city is spending millions of dollars to pay slumlords to convert some properties into shelters, despite the inherent risks. Not only does this put migrants in danger, but it also raises serious ethical concerns about the city's priorities. A once-empty brewery building located at 133rd St. in Gowanus is undergoing a transformation into a 400-bed homeless shelter. This initiative is led by real estate investor David Levitan, who has been associated with allegations of poor building conditions in the past, as indicated by Department of Buildings permits and city records.
Gowanus residents said they're not only concerned about the impact the proposed shelter could have on the neighborhood, but they say it's too close to a toxic Superfund site and is unfit for anyone to live there.
Levitan, a prominent figure in the city's homeless shelter scene, has previously faced scrutiny over property maintenance and business practices, as posted in a 2021 New York Times investigation. The building, a former factory situated at the intersection of 3rd and Bond Streets, was originally zoned for manufacturing purposes. In 2018, it was listed among the Gowanus structures that locals sought to preserve as landmarks. However, nearby residents are now expressing concerns about the lack of community input regarding Levitan's conversion project. Questions have arisen regarding how the conversion of this building into a homeless shelter was approved without more extensive consultation with the community.
Political turf war after the city controller Brad Lander strips Mayor Adams of his emergency powers to approve contracts related to the migrant crisis.
Late 2023, Mayor Eric Adams lost the ability to award emergency contracts without following the usual competitive bidding process. This change came after a medical services provider, Pasko, came under scrutiny for allegedly providing spoiled meals to migrants under a no-bid contract worth $432 million.
Yeah.
Additionally, the state has pointed out that the city has not utilized available sites across the 5 boroughs, like convention centers, armories, racetracks, and college dorms, capable of housing up to 3,000 people. Currently, more than 70,000 migrants are being accommodated across these boroughs. The Department of Buildings issued the permit in November for the conversion of the commercial building on 133rd Street into a transient lodging house, featuring 16 sleeping room accommodations with a total of 400 beds along with associated offices. But during a recent visit, there was no evident activity at the location, though neighbors have noticed workers inside installing drywall partitions in recent days. According to a spokesperson from the Department of Buildings, the proposed use for transient accommodations and hotels is permitted in M1 districts. The permit specifies that the shelter will be managed by a philanthropic or nonprofit institution, sponsored by the Department of Homeless Services, and the certificate of occupancy will be discontinued once the shelter ceases its operations.
The city's Department of Social Services says Bragg's Home Care Corp will provide wraparound services and case management for residents. It says with more than 178,000 migrants in the city now, quote, additional capacity is desperately needed.
A spokesperson from the Department of Homeless Services has confirmed that Bragg's Home Care Corp, a home health care provider, will oversee operations at 133rd Street, and the site is scheduled to open in the summer of 2024. Yeah, a recent letter from the House.
I don't know what it is. Me watching this video, me just sitting here watching this video, it just feels like they're doing so much to accommodate immigrants. You know what I mean? And we got so many people here in the United States right now that are homeless, that are hungry, that are without shelter. And here they are, $432 million funded program to house migrants. And then you have the mayor sitting here saying that now we don't have enough time to try to approve some of these contracts so that they can house people. So it almost feels like they just doing any and everything to try to keep up. But there's no way that you're going to be able to keep up with something like this. And I feel like that's what a lot of Republicans, just a lot of people, Americans, period, were trying to tell the Democrats before they even started to do this. And I feel like now they starting to see, they starting to feel the blowback by allowing all these immigrants to come into the United States illegally.
And the site is scheduled to open in the summer of 2024. Yeah, a recent letter from the Housing Preservation and Development Office, part of a permit application, reveals that Bragg's Home Care Corp has secured a 9-year lease with the building owner. The Department of Homeless Services declined to comment on the city's financial arrangement with the nonprofit for running the site. Bragg's Home Care Corp plans to maintain 24-hour on-site security and establish a round-the-clock hotline for community concerns. They are dedicated to ongoing community involvement regarding the emergency shelter. Local elected officials and community leaders were informed several months in advance about the shelter.
If you ask the majority of people, they might support it, but the people who are actually going to meetings and who have the time to organize and go to those meetings, they're the ones who are more vocal about it, and they're the ones who might be rejecting it.
Now, if you are wondering why this project is receiving so much backlash, here's a little backstory. In September, 133rd Street owner LLC, represented by Joseph Rabinowitz, purchased the building for $19.5 million from longtime owner. HFK Inc. Levitan's Liberty One Group shares an address with the LLC, and Joseph Rabinowitz, also known as JoJo, is a partner at this company. Levitan is identified as the building's owner in documents accompanying the Department of Buildings permit application. Both Levitan and Rabinowitz have faced numerous complaints from shelter residents and tenants over the years. Levitan was listed on the Public Advocate's Worst Landlord watch list. Last year, the city canceled plans for a shelter in the Bronx owned by Levitan after significant community opposition, as reported by the city. This year, Levitan has faced legal action twice from the Housing Preservation and Development for failing to provide hot water to tenants in 2 different buildings. Additionally, there are accusations against Liberty One related to lead poisoning cases in buildings where children were affected, according to court documents. Bragg's Home Care Corp., which was given $24 million by the city in mid-2023 to manage 5 shelters, has also come under scrutiny. In March, the city reported that residents at a Braggs-run shelter in Sheepshead Bay fell ill due to spoiled food, leading to multiple emergency room visits for children and adults. A spokesperson from the Department of Homeless Services assured Brownstoner that the incident was uncommon and promptly resolved. They emphasized that safeguarding residents' health and safety and addressing challenges with rapid shelter expansions are top priorities. So, if the government knows all this, why is it pressing hard on this decision?
Harlem residents are accusing the city of using the bait and switch tactic on them. They tell us what was built as a luxury apartment building almost 10 years ago is now being turned into a migrant shelter.
Now, this is another hot topic of debate in the Big Apple that also boils down to the surge of migrants.
They're actually turning this into a sanctuary for asylum seekers.
The building near 130th Street was initially designed as a luxury living space with amenities like an indoor swimming pool and marble bathrooms, where residents paid market rates for a comfortable lifestyle. However, it has remained vacant for 10 years due to foreclosure on the developers. Mayor Eric Adams recently proposed converting this building into a shelter for newly arrived migrants. But this plan faced strong opposition from community members like McDaniel, who feel Harlem doesn't need another shelter.
They absolutely do not need another shelter. And not even just that, I just feel like at the end of the day, I just feel a lot of corruption and a lot of capitalism is going on with this entire situation. You know, one, I feel like it's just going to help. It's just going to exacerbate, and it's going to help. I feel like it's helping Joe Biden to a degree, because I hear a lot of people saying that the more migrants that come in here, some of them are going to get the opportunity to vote. And I feel like that's almost like what Joe Biden, what some of them are already doing, as far as like pandering to migrants so that they can get the vote of migrants. That's what it feels like.
Daniel emphasizes the urgent need for permanent, affordable, income-driven housing in the area, expressing concerns about how children in the shelter would integrate into the community and attend school, given the temporary nature of the shelter environment.
No, I don't agree with it turned into a sanctuary for asylum seekers. No, when we have people right here that need this space.
Following community backlash, the city reconsidered and decided to repurpose the facility to provide shelter for families in need from New York City.
Find out what's going on here. We're not moving folks into a brand new building when you have long-term needs into a community. That's not going to happen.
Despite this adjustment, some community members remained discontented with the idea of turning the building into a shelter. However, not everyone in Harlem opposes the concept of establishing a shelter at 2201 Adam Clayton Powell Jr., BLV. Benjamin Omwudiwe, a local pharmacist who has owned a nearby pharmacy for nearly 12 years, believes that homeless individuals in Harlem could benefit from another shelter option. The Department of Social Services is now exploring the possibility of using the building for permanent housing placements for individuals who currently rely on the city's shelter system to survive. The agency reports an increase of 17% in placing shelter residents into permanent housing, reflecting ongoing efforts to address housing instability in New York City.
Too many homeless shelters in this community.
So, here's what we have been able to make out of this situation. New York City's response to the migrant crisis has been chaotic and ineffective. The city's leaders have been contradictory in their approach, requesting that migrants leave the temporary shelters while also creating new shelters that may not be safe or suitable. In the process, they have exposed migrants to criminal activities and health risks. The result is a crisis that is not only putting the well-being of migrants at risk, but also undermining the city's reputation as a place of refuge. Ultimately, the lack of a coherent plan has only worsened the situation, and it is time for the city to rethink its approach.
You can say that again. They definitely need to rethink. They definitely need to rethink their approach to this whole immigration issue. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm an aficionado or that I'm an expert in the border crisis or I'm an expert in this whole immigration crisis, but there was a lot of information in this video for the simple fact that when I sit and watch this video, the first thing I start thinking about is the American people. I start thinking about all the homeless Americans that we have in this country. And I feel like we don't even do enough for them. So where is all this money coming from in order to bring these migrants in, to house them, to give them everything that they have so that they can accommodate them? But I feel like we're almost kind of like pushing and thrusting our American homeless people completely out of the picture, completely out of the picture. A couple years ago, I went to Atlanta. You go down to downtown Atlanta, you see so many homeless people there. Just last summer, I went to my niece's graduation in downtown Los Angeles, not too far from the crypto arena. It's like right around the corner from the Trump Hotel. And you just see so many homeless people walking down the street, walking down the alley, living on the street. And here we are, New York City. They have all these accommodations. They've taken all this money so that they can fund bringing in all these immigrants to house them. And then the next question is, what you going to do once they get here? You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, like I said, I'm not an aficionado. I'm not an expert. But one thing that I do know is that a lot of this is going to fall on the taxpayers. It's going to fall on me. It's going to fall on you at the end of the day. And it's like the powers that be, do they really care or do they not? You feel what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, I just feel like this is completely blowing up in their face as we speak about it right now. Because if they have all these immigrants, thousands to hundreds of thousands in New York, where are they going to go? Where are they going to send them to? To any other major cities? What about like Chicago? Are they going to send them here to Texas? Are they going to send them to Middle America? Or are they going to try to migrate them all the way to the West? Like, what is the plan? And I feel like there's no plan. I feel like they're just doing everything on a whim at the end of the day. And this was a good video. This was a good video that you guys suggested. If you do like this video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any videos from Asia and BJ. And if I haven't said it enough, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I love you. Y'all take it easy. And salute to all my real ones out there. Y'all take it easy. Peace and blessings.